Good morning, Grace, and thank you coming on Let's Talk Sports and Entertainment with C. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Actually, I got my coffee in, so I'm awake, got that settled in, and you moved it from 9 to 11. So I was actually happy about that. I was like, oh yes, thank God. Whew, I get a little more time to, wake up. But I'm doing
Yeah,
good. Thanks for asking.
yeah.
So, Grace, tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm Grace Kirk. I'm from Duluth, Minnesota. Super far up north. It's freezing cold up there. And I play basketball for Brown University. I'm into my senior year now.
Ooh, yay. So before we get into all of that, tell us what the basketball culture was like growing up in Minnesota.
Yeah, so where I was from, it was like non-existent. Like northern Minnesota is very much hockey country, basketball is an afterthought, and there really wasn't like anything really going on for us. But I would say that like right around my year was when I guess like my high school time was right when I guess basketball started to like really pick up, especially women's basketball, I would say. And so I was proud to say that like me and my best friend Gianna Neepkin. She plays for Utah now. We kind of got that started at our school and in our area. Like we were really like taking pride in winning and beating teams by a lot and working on our skills all summer. And so throughout my time in high school, things got better. And then, of course, I was traveling down to Minneapolis a lot to play AAU, and that's where I played on a team with like Paige Beckers
Hmm.
and just other really good girls from Minnesota.
So what was like first before we get in the experience of playing like next to Paige, but what was that inspiration for you to even want to stop playing basketball and to bring more awareness to basketball in general?
Yeah, I just feel like it can be such a great avenue for girls in general. You can be physical in basketball, you can be aggressive, and then there's such a rewarding process when you work on something and then you get to do it in game. Like I used to absolutely love just repping out like a spin move or something. And then when I saw it in game, when I used it, like that felt like everything. Like there's such payoff. And so I just felt like my city, my area really needed that. And there needed to be an outlet for like girls to work at something. And there needed to be like competition, but also like community amongst girls, like working out together and stuff like that.
And when you went to Minneapolis and started playing with AAU teams and just seeing how basketball can be as big it is, and it's definitely has way more room to grow, especially for women's basketball. Um, what was the feeling that you seen when you first went there?
Yeah, it was definitely a culture shock because I feel like Minneapolis was way farther ahead than where I was from. So I'm way up here, and then I would drive 2.5 hours down to Minneapolis, maybe 3, 4 times a week.
Wow.
So it was a big culture shock. It was a big culture shock. I was definitely pushed in out of my comfort zone a lot. But it was so critical to experience that because I needed that to grow. And then I learned about basketball culture from going down there. Like I learned like how it's okay to like, talk your talk when you're, cooking somebody or like
Mm-hmm.
getting when a coach gets in your grill, like that's just how it is sometimes. Like that's how you get better. It's not that they don't like you, it's that they care enough to see you do better. And so I was around things that were just a little different from me, but I would take note of everything that I was learning and I brought that back up home with me. So if I was getting cooked, which I was when I got down to Minneapolis, I definitely was not the best basketball player ever. Like I was by far just like still getting in the flow of things,
Mm-hmm.
but I would take everything that I learned and bring it back up there and start to build that culture where I'm from.
That is what's up. It's always great when you can go to a new experience and, take the first one, your intimidation, and then don't stay intimidated, but,
Yeah.
soak it all in and learn from it. But what was it like playing with Paige?
Okay, so it was our freshman year, so we were babies. We were babies, AAU, but it was amazing. She carried herself with so much grace, with so much just she knew exactly who she was. And you can just tell like she loved the game of basketball. And so
Hmm.
I very much paid attention to that. She took everything very seriously. And it was great. She was a great teammate. Everybody had a lot of respect for her. She was almost like a coach on the court. She knew exactly where things were going to be, what's going to happen, strategies. So I learned a lot from that year. And I only played with her that first year because I needed to find something a little bit different. I kind of hopped around different AAU teams, but
That's what's up.
very glad that I had that experience nonetheless.
And what would you say from your experience in AAU, from going from team to team and just learning new experiences? What was the one takeaway that you would say that you brought into your collegiate level?
Yeah, I would just say, know what you bring to a team. Like, I feel like when you get to an AAU team and it's girls you don't know, things like that, like they're kind of, we all feel each other out. Like, what are you about? Like, what do you bring to the table? What's your thing? And so, like, I knew that I was a great defender and I knew that I had a motor. Like,
Mm,
I could just go, especially when, like I'm in a competitive like game or like when I've been challenged. Like I knew that that's what I brought to a team. And so you have to bring that every single day so your teammates can trust you and learn what you're about. And then then you're going to be a valuable member to any team that you play on. So, yeah.
that's what's up. I like that.
Mhm.
Nice. So
Mhm.
you said that, where you are is cold.
Freezing.
Rhode Island ain't no better.
Trust me, this is nothing compared to what I'm used to.
So we're gonna get into that process of just picking, recruitment. And how did you end up at Brown University?
It's actually a funny story. So, first of all, I hated the recruiting process. Like, I
No, wait, hold
hated
on.
it.
I just never heard that.
Like, I did not like being judged every weekend. Like, it's a really rough experience. And so for me, I knew that as soon as I like found my school and I was looking really hard, I was doing a lot of research, like I would be ready to go. Like, I didn't want to hold out for a zillion offers. Like, I knew all I needed was one. And so I had no idea how Brown had heard of me or anything, but I had good coaches on my side that were definitely always sending my stuff out and reaching out. And so I remember I had gotten an email from Brown and they were like, I'm coming to your game tomorrow. I was in Dallas, Texas, and I was like, oh yeah, like okay, I gotta lock in. Like this is it. And I wanted to go Ivy
Hyping
so
yourself up,
bad.
getting ready.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I gotta go off. Like, and so I went to
You
sleep
gotta cook
so
someone.
early. Yes, I went to sleep so early. My dad was geeked up. He went and got breakfast in the morning for me, and like not from the hotel, like from like IHOP or
A
something. Like it
hearty
was
breakfast, gotta
yes.
get right.
Yes, like he was like, "This is big," and so like the moment was there, the moment was set, and I played the worst game of my life. Like I don't think I scored, and I just wasn't doing what I normally do, which is just like knocking down threes and driving to
Mhm,
bed. Like I just wasn't doing it. But what I was doing always, like I said,
mhm.
defense and motor. And so after the game, I'm a mess. I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting that offer. Like, man, I suck. I was really feeling down on myself. But later that night, he emailed me back and he was like, we loved what we saw. Like, we love how you're always hyping up your teammates, and we love how you play defense no matter how if you're scoring or not. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay. I was like, okay, y'all see me for me, okay. And so very quickly after that, I ended up going to Brown, probably like right around this time in the summer, like right towards the end of it, and I fell in love. It was amazing, and I said yes right then and there. And I had only been
Wow.
talking that was, like, end of my sophomore year, so I had only been talking to, like, a few schools at that point, and I knew. I knew.
You committed your sophomore year in high school?
Yeah.
Wow. So what about the visit that made you know that Brown was a school for you?
It was just like I was noticing things about the campus. Like I would see other athletes walk around and they weren't your stereotypical like athletes. Like they were talking about things like that were happening in school and they had funky outfits on and it was just like phenomenal vibes all around, and I was like, "This is somewhere I wanna be." Like, everybody had certain parts of themselves, but they weren't just one thing. There was no, like, "This is what an athlete is, this is what a student is." And so I really wanted to be somewhere like that, and then, of course, academically, when I went to Brown on the visit, I talked with a professor in the Africana department, and he, like, had marched with Martin Luther King, like, on the
Oh,
March on
wow.
Washington. Yeah, and he was telling me about it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is the coolest thing ever." And the coaches were telling me, like, "Yeah, this is like every professor here. Like, every professor has something so amazing, like, you just have to go and reach out to them." I was like, "Oh yeah, like, this is my spot. This is my place."
Guys, if you don't know, Brown University is Ivy League, so it's like really like hard. So not only do
Yeah,
you have to worry about like basketball, you got to worry about your grades. So just let you know, this is why I'm like, what made you choose Brown is because
yeah.
Brown is like top notch, guys, like top notch. So I'm just letting, that's just why I'm putting like my emphasis on it. If you guys, just so the audience can get a feel of
Yeah,
like how top Brown is.
yeah.
But before we get to your experience as far as actually being at Brown, being in high school and, having them AAU experiences, your basketball, just growing your game, your person. Um, and I read about your accolades in high school,
Mhm.
how would you describe your game in one word?
I would say oh, this is a great question. How would I describe my game in one
Ooh,
word? I would
yeah.
say I would say, efficient.
Ooh, give it to me. Give it to me. Why?
Okay, efficient because, I definitely, like, don't have to do too much to, like, make an impact,
Mm,
and the impact can come from many different angles of my game at any given time. So it's
I
just
love
like,
that.
you trust me, Grace Kirk, you put her on the court, like, something good is gonna come out of it. It's something like, you're gonna get efficient minutes out of me.
I love that. Talk to him. And you had also said something that stood out to me. You had said, I had good coaches that would send out my
Mhm,
videos and, stuff to schools.
mhm,
Just speak to what it's like having a good coach because, some people don't, and, it sucks the love for basketball out of them. So just speak to
mhm.
the experiences you had with your good coaches.
Yeah, and it does require trial and error. I don't think there's anything wrong with, moving schools or moving teams. Like you're the right fit will like everything else will fall into place. So never feel like you have to stay in one spot. But like it starts with developing a relationship with those coaches. Like you have to learn how they coach and then you have to be coachable. That's the main thing. You have to actually care about what they're telling you. You're never too good to learn from anybody, like, even if they never played college basketball, even if they are a couple years older than you, like, you can still learn something from somebody.
Hmm.
And so I had great relationships with my coaches, and I trusted them, and I listened to what they said, and I explained to them where I wanna get to. So they knew, like, I wanted to play Division I basketball, and they knew that their role in that would be advocating on behalf of me and sending out emails and stuff like that and making highlight reels. And so because they knew my goals, they knew how to help me. So be honest with your coaches, trust them, and it will work out for you.
So what's up. And I do like the fact that you said be coachable because,
Mhm,
a lot of, not in every case, but in some cases, some kids, students aren't coachable,
mhm.
So I did like that point that you pointed out. Moving forward to going into Brown, did you have any expectations or did you just go in with I'm going to go into the new school, new, area, I'm a newbie, rookie, as I know it's a freshman, but I just like that word. But did you just go in it with an open mind and just embrace the new journey, or did you put any expectations on yourself?
Yeah, I did not have any expectations on myself. My number one goal at the time was just to make it there. And then I told myself, like, when I made it there, then I'm going to establish some new goals. Because I needed to see, what I could do, where I was as far as ability and stuff like that. And so when I got there, it was COVID. It was
Hmm.
COVID. So we didn't play my freshman year. So we just were doing a lot of training, a lot of drills. But I actually really appreciated that because there was, a senior guard, her name was Dom, and she was short, quick, just like me, and I learned a lot from her because she just carried herself, like a veteran guard, and so I'm really glad that I went in with no expectations because if I did, I feel like I wouldn't have learned as much from her. And so I just came in like a sponge. Like I wanted to just, I guess, get a feel for everything, ask questions, and that worked out for me a lot because I made good friends and gained good skills.
And how do you juggle the academics? Because, it's Ivy
Yeah,
League and,
yeah.
just staying in tune with your basketball schedule and, having a college life.
Yeah, you have to do something you love. You have to. And the beauty of Brown is we don't have any like required classes that you have to take like your freshman year, like core classes like math, science. You can take whatever you want from the jump. So I'm not a math and science person. I can barely do basic math, that's just the truth. But I can read a book and I can tell you what that book was about and I can write. So I wanted to take classes that, I loved and I love to do
Mm,
those things and I'm good at it. So when you start to do stuff that you love, it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like enrichment. It feels like you're bettering yourself.
right.
And so it felt okay, waking up at 6 a.m. to go to practice and then going to, my class. But that felt okay. It didn't feel like something I had to do. It felt like something I wanted to do. And so when you love what you're doing, like you will find time for it. And like that's all like I can say about that. Like it never feels like too much when I have to read stuff for my classes because I genuinely care about it.
Okay.
So, and that's mostly everybody in the Ivies. I feel like we get to do what we love, which is usually like something academic or some type of question or issue that's going on in the world that we're passionate about. Most of our work can center around that. So it just feels like something you would do without school.
Oh, I never knew that. I wish I would have known that because I hated critical thinking. I hated that class. I hated it. The guy sounded like a dry red eye guy. And just imagine the class you hate and then the professor sounding like that at nine
Exactly.
o'clock in the morning. Oh,
Yep.
no,
Yep.
but and moving on, and then when you actually got to play basketball,
Hmm.
when COVID went away, well,
Hmm.
when they made it seem like it went away,
Yeah.
and basketball got into playing time. What was the feeling of being actually able to play again, excuse me,
Mhm.
and was it just I'm gonna play, or did you have like goals for yourself? And once you started playing, did those goals change?
Yeah, so I knew that when we finally got to playing against each other in practice, we could do contact, all that stuff. I knew that once again, what I bring was defense and motor. And the other thing that I added, the other skill that I added from that freshman year was being vocal, like literally talking, yelling 24/7 in practice. Like we were given a voice, like might as well use it. So I knew that that was what I offered, and I brought that every day in practice, and it worked out well for me. I started my sophomore year, the first year I was starting, and I was really proud of myself. I didn't necessarily expect it, but I just knew like if I stayed consistent and brought the same things every day, like something good would come out of it. And so I was a little bit unsure what my role was, but
Okay.
I knew that my coaches trusted me and wanted me out there. And so I think if I could go back, I would definitely ask for more clarification as to what they wanted from me. Um, but regardless, like hard work will pay off. Like being consistent every day in practice, no matter if, you're tired, no matter if your stomach hurts, like that will pay off. And I feel like that's why I started out the year starting. But then throughout the season, I was, like I said, just my role was a little bit blurry. And so I feel like I wasn't being productive because I didn't know what was expected of me. So
Mm,
asking questions of your coaches throughout the season is important. So for anybody listening, ask your coaches what they want from you, especially if they're putting you out there. And so then my playing time kind of went down, and then I feel like I started to kind of dig in on myself. I wasn't being as kind to myself as I should have. And I regret that because basketball does not define my worth. It's just something I do.
right.
And I needed to understand that. But and I kind of had some mental health struggles that year. And then I think I kind of checked out a little bit, which looking back, I understand why I wasn't taking as good of care of myself as I should have. But then, my playing time went down, and then I guess my that drive that I felt kind of went down as well.
Hmm. And how did you pull yourself through that? And who helped you pull yourself through that?
Yeah, I had amazing teammates. I had an upperclassman who took care of me for real. And like when I say took care of me, like she would bring me to get my medicine. Like she would check and make sure I ate. Like she would really help me out, and I needed that. And so that helped. And then of course leaning on my family. I think I felt a lot of pressure to impress them and make them proud, but I just needed to hear over and over again, like, we're proud of you already. Like, you don't
Right.
have to do anything else. So once I started to believe that, then I started to kind of come out of that and been like, okay, like, what can I do now? Like, this is where I'm at. I can't change it. Like, what else can I do? How do I dig myself out? And so, like I said, I went back to being vocal, having a motor, playing hard defense. And usually those things that are my things since I was, 10 years old, that's my backbone, that's my foundation in basketball, that lifted me out.
Oh, that's what's up. Getting back to the basics, always.
Back to the basics.
And you said it's your senior year,
Mhm.
and congratulations.
Ah!
Um, it's definitely a great feeling, especially
Yeah.
when you look back and you see everything that you went
Yeah.
through. And, usually, you're by yourself technically,
Mhm.
when your family's
Mhm.
not there. Yes, you
Mhm.
build relationships through your school and your team, but when you're not with your family or you're at home, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
What are your goals this year going into the season for you and your team? Because,
Yeah.
I want to tell you guys, them rebounds and turnovers, that's one thing for sure. Woo!
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That part. I Rebounding is gonna be huge for us this year.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say team goals is we gotta get back to our identity on defense, which is getting stops. We need to create a culture that like we eat off that. I think sometimes like when games started to go downhill for us, it's because we fell in love with like scoring instead of getting stops. So getting back to that, and that starts with like leaders like me on the team, like telling us like this is where it starts. Defense feels way better than scoring a basket, I promise you, because you can rely on that.
I know, you're right. Even though they getting them threes and going
Yeah,
crazy.
yep. I'm telling you, getting a stop like that feels good. So just getting ourselves back to that. And then I'd say my personal goals are being the senior that my underclassmen need. So being somebody that they can rely on, especially because I relied on the seniors and upperclassmen heavy. So being somebody that they can rely on for sure. And then I'd say just like we're gonna play man defense this year. I hear. I hear we're gonna
Ooh.
play man defense this year. So I wanna be the motor for our man defense. Like I wanna set the tone. Like I wanna be somebody that my teammates can look to as like, oh yeah, like nobody score on her. Like she's gonna make, and if they do, like it was a good move. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So those are my two goals. And then I have goals academically as well. I'm applying for law schools next year. Like this is a big year of preparation for me. I'm studying for my LSAT. Like this is a big year.
What type of lawyer do you want to be?
I'm thinking of civil rights because I just feel
Fire.
like we need that. Yeah, but I want to stay in the education realm. Like I want to stay, yeah,
Ooh.
defending teachers,
Mm.
defending schools, stuff like that.
And there's a lot of schools, not
Oh
following
yeah.
Title IX.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that is what's up, little firecracker Grace in the courtroom. I
Exactly.
know that's right. Oh,
hmm
that is what's up. So, I got some little questions for you, some games we're gonna play.
Okay.
Okay, top three basketball movies.
Oof. Um, Glory Road.
Ooh, that's a
I
good
love that. Yep.
one.
Coach Carter. And this is gonna sound crazy, but like High School Musical, because it's kind of basketball, like Troy Bolton, he's doing a thing. Like
Look
I
at
like
it.
that. Yeah.
All right, so if you haven't watched this with your team, because it's my favorite, one of my favorite movies was my top one, Sunset Park. Go watch it with them.
Sunset Park. I never heard of that.
Watch it. You got to go watch it. If you had to make a play and it was to win the game, would it be on offense or defense?
It would be on defense.
A defensive stop, kind of
Yeah.
figured that.
Yeah.
If you had 24 hours to work out with anybody, NBA, WNBA, old teammate, college player, who would it be?
It would be This is a crazy, not a crazy answer, but Darius Garland.
Woo!
He plays on the Cavs.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
I
love
love
it.
his game. I love his game,
I like
and
him, so it's fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is fire. Okay, okay. And now going into the season, right? Well, I would say last year. If you could pick your starting five coming into this season based on your team, right? To switch
Mhm,
it up,
mhm.
what would it be?
Like girls on my team,
Hmm.
um, I would say Gracie, my
My girl.
twin, my
That's
shorty,
my
Gracie True.
girl.
Yep, yep, Gracie, that's dog. We call her Buki.
Buki, okay.
Buki, yep, Buki at the 1.
Ooh,
I'm gonna put Bella at the 2. She's our
okay.
shooter, our
Yep.
shooter. I'm gonna put, who am I putting at the 3? This is hard because our that 3 spot is really flex. I'll put Alyssa. Alyssa at the 3.
Alyssa,
Big
Moreland.
hoss. Yep,
Okay.
Alyssa Moreland at the 3. Yep, not the 4, the 3.
The
Imma
three. I
put
like it. I
Imma
like
put
it.
Autumn at the 4. Autumn, Imma put her, yeah, yeah. Put
Ooh,
her
that's
in more,
different.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
different. Okay.
Yep, put her in a scoring position, and then, of course, Gianna at the 5 because she's solid, she's solid.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Maybe I should send this little clip to your coach.
That's what I'm saying, it sounds good. I feel
That
like it can
sounds
really
I
work
really
out.
like that.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
And where do you see yourself in 5 years, Miss Grace?
Let's see, my law degree is gonna take 4 years, so 5 years, I see myself with a solid job out of law school. I wanna be somewhere in the DMV area, that's where I wanna live. And then I also see myself, physically in shape, like, I still wanna be active. I wanna get into, like, powerlifting, but I also kinda wanna get into, like, running marathons, somewhere in between
Ooh.
that, yeah, and then also in 5 years, I want my blog to be, like, super established, like, I wanna have some sponsors on the blog.
Oh, that is what go you. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
All tuned out. Well, since you
yeah.
want to be a lawyer, please tell me you watch Suits on Netflix.
No, but I watched How to Get Away with Murder.
I only did one season of it. I can't do the back and forth. I
Yeah,
can't. After season two, I got lost and I just couldn't do it anymore.
that's
But
fair.
watch Suits.
Suits, okay,
Watch Suits. It's about lawyers. It's a kick-ass show. I love it. I
okay,
wanted to be a lawyer. I still want to be a lawyer sometimes. I want to be a criminal
okay,
defense attorney. Um, I love it. Um, watch Erin Brockovich. Great.
okay,
Another lawyer movie since you want to be a lawyer and read a
okay.
civil action when you have
A
time.
civil action, okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Grace. It was so great to hear your journey. I absolutely loved it. Thank you for coming to Bless Let's Talk Sports and Entertainment with C.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well.